Alright, we've got 2 packages, which is good because before it was just the 1 package, but then something I ordered from Right Stuff arrived. And you'd think I would remember what it is, but I don't. So let's open up and refresh my memory and give you all a video. Feels like only one thing, so I guess today's going to be a small update. Y'all can even hear me. Let's see. Seat out of the way. 2 things. Absolutely not for children, so these are both hentai. I was almost suspecting that. You know, I'm having to check off the side just to make sure that it can at least be shown. We've got DVD and Blu-ray versions of After the Animation from Kitty Media, which is interesting because Kitty Media is Media Blasters, but they're releasing their anime under the name Media Blasters instead of Anime Works. But it seems that for hentai, they're still. Anyways. Kuma. No, wait, that's not it. This is Kuma bear. Kuma being a Japanese word for bear. So this is pretty much bear. And I don't know what to make of this because it looks so strange. Like 2 people playing some sort of bear-themed Memorphiger. Thankfully, the sticker actually came out really smoothly this time. Okay, so these are other things. She's practically pause on reality. She's pressing pause on reality. That is not helping me tell what this even is. It looks cute and adorable, and let's get this plastic open. And now looking at the back, I saw an A and a B. Probably means there's also an English dub. So that means that Funimation at least thinks it's worthy enough to give a dub. Could still be a small thing, small show, but okay, so she's still wearing a bear costume there, but she's not. So I didn't notice that until I looked at these 2 characters individually. It's interesting how the artwork in the back is pretty much the same here, although reversed. You know, they're basically keeping it simple, I guess. And maybe this is a pretty simple anime with pretty simple tastes. So this is season 1. Could mean there's more than 1 season, which would imply that it was at least successful enough to warrant a 2nd season. So, I don't know. Here's this week's anime DVD collection update. So, not a lot to talk about here, other than, I guess it was the camera's at a weird angle, but let's just go with this. I was thinking of watching Tamayomi, I guess. I mean, Golden Kamuy would be worth watching, but I have to figure out where the hell I put season 2, because I watched season 1, I think. Never finished season 2, so I have to do that juggling, but I don't remember what I did with all that stuff. So I was considering putting that one on, because it just seemed like it'd be something nice to have on in the background, and I've just been nice and distracted. But I can say that the advertisement it had for Stars Align looked pretty good. I remember that's something that I received, a tennis-looking show, and that looks pretty good, and kind of puts you in the mood to want to watch Tamayomi. I keep forgetting the name, sorry. But I ended up not actually pressing play to watch the first episode, and I woke up late enough today that... Well, it's not that I woke up late enough today, but also where I was in my video gaming, it just didn't make sense to try to watch it, even though I'm recording this late enough where I, in theory, probably had time, but in practice, I don't know. I'm on PTO this week, so, I'm just running a little slower and sluggish, so I'll just have to make sure I have everything set up so that tomorrow the upload happens when it should. So, putting all that aside, I I also didn't watch any anime with my Friday friend, but we did watch the first episode of Squid Game, which a lot of y'all have probably heard about, and I've heard generally good things. And usually that's not enough for me to be curious, but I heard some of the reasoning why it was good, and watching the first episode, I can definitely agree. So, I'm just trying to say if I should say that one thing. So if you understand one of the common gimmicks that Squid Game has, it would make you wonder why you should watch it over other things with that sort of gimmick. And the answer is because it doesn't actually lean that heavily on the gimmick. It's definitely a more it's more story of the characters involved. And it's really great. It's like it knows it has a just fine idea. It knows other people have done other things sort of like it here and there. And it's going to take its own unique take on that stuff. But it's not going to lean on it. It's trying not to use that as its crutch. And it's honestly very refreshing. You know, our main character isn't really all that great of a person. He's kind of a scumbag. But at the same time, even though you don't agree with the decisions and his, you know, motivations and stuff to some degree, there's a little bits and pieces where you're like, I understand some of that stuff. And you can empathize with him, even though he's kind of not that great of a person, but that's some of the point. You know, it also introduces other characters. You're like, these don't seem like good people, but at least they feel kind of real, give or take. I guess some of the backstory, possibly, and it's really just played off better than it is necessarily set up better. You watch the characters interacting, you're like, yeah, okay. Well, it feels more natural than a whole lot of stuff that I've watched. I wouldn't quite put it at the same level as Alien, but I was wondering if I would. And that I could be completely off because I'm not sure if I had a good feeling of that element while watching it. Like with Alien, I've mentioned before, and other people have pointed this out before, of course, and I probably got the idea from other people pointing it out, that the characters in that feel like truckers in space, essentially, and they're essentially a tow truck for a giant mining facility or mining refinery thing, not a mining facility, a refinery, and that's what they're supposed to be, and that's what they feel like. They feel like real people that you would be just hanging out with. And these people, there's definitely some elements to it that don't quite feel like, oh yeah, I could just be hanging out with these people. But there's other parts of it where you're just like, you kind of feel like you are watching a little bit of the everyday life of some people. There's a mundaneness to it that's actually really great and refreshing, I suppose. You know, there's novel elements introduced in just the right place to, I think, keep your attention going, and it's just paced really well. And I've seen this also pointed out, but it's also not trying to play pretend. So, like, there was this girl in there, and, you know, when this altercation was happening, you know, she's not, oh, I'm going to be totally outsmarting all these men. It's like, you could feel it was really quite dangerous for her, because in reality, if you have a girl fighting a guy twice as her weight, it almost doesn't matter if you know, if maybe she could be more clever. It's dangerous. This is why, you know, boxing has different weight classes, because, you know, that extra mass makes a lot of difference in a fight, and it plays it off just a lot more naturally and nowhere near as contrived as so much of our modern stuff. And, you know, that kind of reflects in the fear that maybe a US version of Squid Game is going to be made, or it's going to get taken over in its future seasons or something. And I can completely see and agree with that, because this is something where you're going to have some dumb shit focusing on the wrong parts of it that make it good. And it's not the gimmick per se. The gimmick is a good mechanism, but it's a mechanism for having other things happen. I'm trying to remember. I thought there were maybe 2 characters I really liked. But since I can't remember the other one, then go Immigrant Guy. I only know him by that name. I can't follow anybody's or remember anybody's name. I don't even remember the name of most of the characters in anime unless it happens to be something really dumb, straightforward. And I'd probably forget it like a month later. But there's a guy in there who's definitely supposed to be a foreigner to these South Korean people, and I fucking love him. It'll be interesting to see if, you know, it doesn't turn out to completely be lovable, but I love him, and I suspect that most people do. You know, he just, at least people watching this first episode, we don't know a whole lot about him, but he brings something to it that's just so heartwarming, maybe. Oh well. So, you know, first episode, I don't know if I'm going to watch additional episodes. I've not been watching any anime, so even that is hard. And part of the reason for that is, as y'all have probably guessed, a lot of Dead by Daylight stuff. But it also doesn't help that, you know, I have internet friends who are Twitch streaming stuff, and partially being supportive and partially because they're often playing games that I'm curious about and interested in, and or playing myself. You know, I do tend to watch them to kind of help boost their being watched numbers and participate with their stuff in something. And when you just have those 2 distractions right then and there, it makes it hard to do anything. I'm putting their Twitch streams on the TV, so it's not like I can put their stream on the TV and then also watch an anime. And it also doesn't help that nothing has come out that tells me gotta watch this. So instead, you know, my focus just drifts wherever it does. And with Dead by Daylight, the good news is that I am reaching the point where I'm playing as and putting blood points into Cheryl Mason, who I've probably mentioned every video for the past month, I don't know, that playing as her as my main survivor has been my main goal. And I have to say, I've been fucking enjoying it. I enjoy all the setup I've done for this. You know, I've been able to take all these things. I don't have access to absolutely everything, but the things I do have access to has made it just fun for me to play. And to top it off, I guess I've reached a, since I am leveling her up and stuff, I do run into the quandary of when she reaches level 50, do I keep leveling her up to get all the perks that I want to play with, or do I prestige? And since I know that in the future I'm going to want to prestige, it makes sense to do it now. And for those of you who don't know what prestiging is, it basically means you reset the character, but there are 2 advantages to prestiging, 3 advantages really. So first of all, your character can prestige 3 times. So if you want to get that on that character, you pretty much want to do it as soon as they hit level 50, so you're just not throwing any other blood points and stuff, and you want the blood points to really just feed into them prestiging and being leveled up again. Presumably so that you can immediately resume playing them, maybe not quite with the same perks you had before, but something like that. So the other advantage of prestiging is you do get some unique cosmetics. They're not super special. They're basically the normal ones except bloodied. But, you know, if I want to have access to those, then might as well. And then the final one is that there is slightly increased chance of the blood web giving you better items. And it's nothing too mind-breaking, especially since I just don't really play with getting a whole lot of... You know, I don't depend on items from the blood web to play too much. You could say I depend on perks. Probably I'm okay without perks, but perks can change the game a little bit and make it more fun. As a really stupid example, I'm a big fan of Leon's flash grenade, flashbang. Not that I'm a big fan of being good at... I mean, I'm a big fan of the idea of me maybe being good at using it, but to me, it just adds something unexpected to the game, and I really like that, and it's a strange dynamic, and it's not one of the meta perks, so to me that makes it feel like it's fair game. You know, I know I had one killer that actually said that they got really triggered by it. I'm trying to remember how exactly they put it, but, you know, fair enough. If you're not expecting a flashbang and all of a sudden this Alessa, you know, not Leon, but Alessa is just using a flashbang, it's just like, ugh. And if maybe you're the kind of killer that sees the Alessa use it really badly, which could have been the case there, because I don't remember actually blinding them, then you know, that would make sense. That's why my only response to them was, fair. Because it's fair. It shakes up the dynamic just a little bit, but not enough to really guarantee that I'm going to live or anything like that. It gives me something to try to do, given that I suck with flashlights, and most of the killers I've seen deal with it perfectly fine. So I'm not breaking the game by doing it, but again, I like the idea of trying to do stuff with it. And it's just a stupid thing, but so far, my first Alessa had that. I say Alessa, it's Cheryl Mason, but I'm using the Alessa Gillespie skin. So my first one had a full level 3 flashbang. This one's, I did prestige her, and then she's back at level 50 again, ready to prestige again. And I do have flashbang to play with, only level 2, unless I intentionally put points in the blood web, but I'm thinking I should not. I should play this smart and deliberately plan to prestige her again. Now, whether or not I do the same thing I did this time, I don't know. I'll do something sort of like it, where I saved up until I was over 950,000 blood points. There's a 1 million blood point limit, and you can go over it using certain basically, if you get blood points, I think from the end of month, and end of month is actually the 13th, so it's already happened pretty recently. You get blood points for doing that. It's my understanding those don't count towards your total. So if you don't ever spend those, then you can go over 1 million. But $1 million's the limit, so I go for above 950, because above that, it's possible for me to get more than I would have remaining. So it's very rare that I get 50,000 or more, but you know, with Pyramid Head, it happens. It's pretty often in the 40,000 to 46,000 range, but it's been above 50,000 every rare once in a while. So in order to avoid, you know, losing blood points because I reach a max, you do that. But you can leave unclaimed redeemable codes. You can leave unclaimed daily challenges. You can leave unclaimed tome challenges. And so at the end of the day, I had about 1.4 million blood points total. That would be the overnight. That would be 969,000 that I had on the character, as well as just under 500,000, I think, or around 500,000 of unclaimed other stuff. It was actually quite a lot. And then another redeemable code came out today that gave another 100,000. Boo. Okay, so I haven't even played as her after I've prestiged her, and she's already playable again. So, you know, in order, before I can prestige her again, I'm going to play her a lot, use up all of her plus BP items, I think, and then once I get like over 950,000 again, probably prestige her again. I just don't know what the new character that comes out tomorrow, which will be today for y'all, I just don't know what I'm going to be doing regarding her. Because, you know, I might level her up to 15 just to be able to play with her and her perks. Or I might leave her alone? I haven't figured out yet. I should probably just focus on Cheryl, just because, you know, once I do that and I get all the progress in. I don't know why I decided to pick this up and start fidgeting with it. But, you know, if I do that, I prestige Cheryl 2 more times and then level up to 50 and put more blood points in there. In theory, that means that, you know, maybe my necessity to play DBD lessons, and then y'all probably get more of the content that y'all actually prefer. Although, since, you know, I don't affiliate or whatever with YouTube, it means you're getting your money's worth and I'm getting paid just as much either way, which is to say nothing, because you know, I try to encourage YouTube experience that doesn't have ads, because they're really annoying, and most of y'all probably have ad blockers and stuff, then you don't notice it anyways. But yeah, it also helps keep this channel hobbyist, so you know, this is a hobby, and if I seem drained and not putting a lot of energy into it, then yeah, I think that's just life in general for me right now. Huh. I don't know. Anyways, that's my blabbering for the week. Y'all have a nice one.